There's one thing that almost every traveler hates, that's waiting in lines, especially at airports and airport security. So in this video, I'm going to go over two programs that will cut out the waiting times when you're traveling or entering into the US. Now, if you hear that and you're not from the US, don't worry, there are still parts of this program that you can use even if you're not a US citizen. So the first program I want to go over is TSA Precheck. And this allows you to go in a different line through airport securities, not remove the items from your bag, leave your shoes on, and even go through a regular metal detector rather than the one where you have to put your arms over your head and get a deeper scan. This does require some things before you're able to use this program. You can't just sign up online and then go through airport security. You will have to go through an interview process, which will also check your criminal history and any other background information, as well as you'll have to pay some fees to sign up for it. The fee for TSA Precheck is $76.75 per 5-year period at the time of recording this video. And while that is definitely worth it for the amount of time you'll save, you'll see later in this video that I more recommend getting this in a package deal with Global Entry, which is what we'll be talking about next. However, one thing to keep in mind is that TSA Precheck is only available for US citizens. So unlike Global Entry, this will only be useful for airports within the US and if you are a US citizen or I believe a green card holder as well. Basically, the way it works is you'll get a little TSA Precheck stamp on your boarding pass at whatever airports you're going to, and you'll also see a different line separate from the main security line that will be much shorter as it's only for people approved with this program. You could then go through that line, skip most of it. You'll still have to talk to the people at the end where kind of all of the security line forms into one, but you'll show them your ticket, show that it has the TSA Precheck watermark, and then you'll be able to leave the stuff in your bag and go through an easier security experience. And this has saved me hours, especially as for a while my home airport was JFK, which is super busy, super frequented, and I would use that there to skip a lot of the lines. And you could even combine this with certain other things such as Clear to go through even faster. That's a different video as I'm not going to be discussing Clear in this video. However, also, even some airport lounges, if you have access to get into the lounge, will allow you to get to the head of the TSA Precheck line. So this is super useful, and looking into TSA Precheck, if you are a US citizen, is a wonderful idea. The second option, which I recommend even more if you frequently travel to the US or if the US is your home country, is Global Entry. Not every country is allowed to get Global Entry, but this list listed right here is the list of countries that you are allowed to get Global Entry from if you're not a US citizen. This is a similar process to getting TSA Precheck, and if you get Global Entry and you are a US citizen, it will also include TSA Precheck along with that without an extra fee. So that's very useful. If you're already getting TSA Precheck, I totally recommend just get Global Entry instead. You'll have them both included, and it's going to make everything a lot faster and easier since you have to do an interview anyways. Global Entry is a program that will allow you to enter into the United States at the border crossing in a much different and faster line. So similar to how TSA Precheck works, there is a separate line for people with Global Entry, but not only is it a separate line that brings you into the same form at the end, this is a totally separate line with separate border officers working there. And also you just go up to a machine, scan your face, and then they'll normally just say, "Oh, are you this? Perfect." You walk on through. Normally super easy. Sometimes you do have to fill out the custom questions still, but you can download the Global Entry app on your phone and you could fill out the customs form before you even arrive at the border crossing itself. And this makes it way easier so that you don't have to wait in any lines in case there is someone checking the actual questions. When it comes to the process to signing up for either of these, you're going to go to the Trusted Traveler Program website, which I'll have linked down in the description, and you'll sign up for an account. From there, you'll have to pay the fee, being $120 for 5 years for the Global Entry program. Then they will review the information you've put in, and you'll have to schedule an interview. A lot of the times people will say online how hard it is to get a Global Entry interview because of the fact that you have to go to one of the airports and there's not always availability. In my experience, it was a little difficult to get a Global Entry application interview. However, I would just check once or twice a day to be able to find one, and I got one in New York State as JFK was a bit more frequented and much more harder to get one. but just keep looking, look at ones around the area. If it's not in your home airport, it may be a little difficult, but you could do it on a trip. There is another option that you could do it after arriving at one of the airports. So say you'll be flying, you could even, if you're flying to say California, you could set up the application to be there, and then when you arrive, you could do it right once you get off the plane, and it'll make it a little bit easier. There are services online that will help you to get an appointment, and you have to pay them, and they might just send you some extra emails or something like that. I tried one of them out and I ended up going with a refund because it didn't help me that much. Like, it didn't give me too much more of an advantage in my opinion. For you, it may work out better, but when I used it, it didn't get me more than I really felt it was worth the money for. So I'd recommend just trying to do it on your own. Just check somewhat frequently, see if any appointments open up, and hopefully you're lucky to get one quickly. In the meantime, if you're still waiting for your application to process or for your interview to happen, check out the mobile passport app, as if you're a US and I believe maybe Canadian citizen as well can access this app. You could also use a separate line. It's not normally as fast as the global entry depending on the airport you're in, but in some places I've seen that travelers don't even know about the mobile passport app, so sometimes the line could be even shorter than global entry, but it really depends on where you're going and where you're traveling to use this. I hope this video helped you, and I hope you have a little bit of a better understanding of what TSA Precheck and global entry are, and I definitely recommend to any US travelers and anyone else listed on that list to sign up for them. For 5 years, $120 is really a good price to save you so many hours waiting at the border crossing or waiting in airport security. I could never go back to not using this, as when traveling in and out of the country frequently, the time really adds up when it has saved me probably about an hour at least per trip that I use it on. So definitely check that out. If this video was helpful, let me know down in the comments below. I hope you could get subscribed so you could see more videos like this in the future, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.